Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Tuesday at 2 with your hosts Dave and Selima.
It's a down-to-earth discussion channel designed to solve your dilemmas around starting an online business from scratch, but are possibly worried about the lack of clear information that you're finding out there, false promise and scamming.
And I think the obvious place to start today is to look at the pros and cons of starting an online business and why we might be thinking about it today. And I would like to kick off with the easy one and say a good reason to be thinking about starting an online business would be because of the virus, because of what we've all been through this last year and how it's affected us, our incomes. Those people who have positions in the workplace right across the different sectors. They may have lost their jobs. They may have had cutbacks. They might have to work from home. And just generally, we've been in a situation where we've had to reappraise how we make our money, look after our kids, pay our mortgages and the elderly care and things like that. So one of the pluses of sitting at home doing your starting an online business would be to consider that you're in a safe place. You're working from home, obviously. You're environmentally sound. It's safe. And it's a low cost compared to traditional businesses. There's no necessary bricks and mortar outlay. There's no office. You're working from your own space, from the kitchen table, from the dining room table, from a spare room in your house.
Yeah, with you probably already have a laptop, broadband connection. Most people have those things in any case.
Yes. The one thing I would say, of course, is privacy is required. You can't do that with a noisy family unit or the television on or just general interruptions. It is a business, so consideration has to be given for that and the privacy required to set it up. Yes,
absolutely.
The pros again are also there are different business models which we'll be discussing probably in the next episode, which I think all of would be suitable for most people. The different models that I've got 3 in my mind at the moment, and it would reach a huge market size. You're talking about a global market, 24/7, 365.
Well, that's one of the things as an ex-business development manager in Scotland, with a limited territory to play on, if you like, a limited playing field, which most traditional businesses have. That was one of the big appeals to me on the online world, because really you're working in an environment where time zones are irrelevant, locations are irrelevant. And as you say, the size of the market is the size of the connected world, basically. And that is growing every day, particularly in this pandemic world that we're living in, gradually coming out of at the moment.
And I think also for native English speakers, the world is one's oyster. English is still the main language spoken on the internet. So it's the language of business. So for native English speakers, it's a good thing, certainly. What else do we have there? Pros. You're in charge. You're your own boss. You don't have to report to anybody. You don't have to sign in. With that, of course, comes the responsibility that if you don't do it, then you're not going to get paid. There's no holiday, sick pay. There's no.
That's what I like to think of as the catch-22, one of my favorite books. Sort of catch-22 situation where you have all this freedom, and you have the 24-hour, never sleeping marketplace that's out there, so you can work whenever you want to. And that can also lead you to not working whenever you want to. And that's an easy trap to fall into, particularly if you're a solopreneur. But I think if you've been in any form of self-employment or any kind of responsible corporate career, you've got that together.
Yes, I mean it's instilled in you. Yeah, discipline. Yeah, discipline. I think, is discipline a pro or a con?
Yeah, you could argue both ways, couldn't you?
I think it's a pro. I mean, it's good to be able to be disciplined, and I think probably the people listening to this channel are those who understand that. They don't have to be taught that. I think it's important also to mention here that we broadcast this to people who are probably 50 plus, who have had success in their life, in their career, in their money earning activities. It's not for people who've never had a job, never had any responsibility, living at home with their parents in the back bedroom. We are both experienced
I think
entrepreneurs, and I've also had tremendous personal training in big corporates. So those things stood me in good stead. Something has to be done, it's done, no questions asked.
I think some of the things we mentioned earlier, right at the start, the kind of false promise that goes on, the kind of this mythical internet lifestyle that is often the you and I for certain find annoying, and I think a lot of people that are possibly watching this would agree. That just doesn't really wash with people of an older generation.
Indeed.
Whereas it does appeal possibly it may have appealed to someone in their 20s, that sort of Lamborghini, swimming pool, yachts, laptop lifestyle. And unfortunately, that has been the kind of image and
the USP, the selling point of so many of them. Laptop lifestyle, which is deeply unattractive to me, I have to say, as a way of selling online business model.
Just an efficient, a more efficient way of generating income is how I see it. So environmentally, we're not commuting to and from a specific place. We're not contributing to pollution as we do that. We're not having endless meetings about meetings.
No. And we're stuck in a traffic jam, learning a language because you can't move.
Transactions take place instantly and electronically. So that again, there is often products we'll get into this in future broadcasts when we talk about business models, but often online products can be virtual products. So again, there's no need for transportation, further pollution, storage, distribution chains, that sort of thing. But there are models, and we'll come to that later.
So the pros are that you don't have to get up at the crack of dawn and get on the motorway to beat the traffic, and don't spend all your time traveling. And you can work your own hours. You put in as much as you want. So that's the flexibility of it. Of course, that's the big pro. Yeah.
And I think finally, I don't know if you have anything else, but finally on pros, I would have to say that most of the business, a lot of it can be automated, which plays to the 24/7, 365 kind of nature of the game. So you create a lot of processes, and we'll look at this in future in detail as well. But a lot of the processes that generate these kind of automated sales, you set up once, and that can be quite a big chunk of work, but then that is almost evergreen, and that can work away in the background.
And you also build real estate, online real estate, which is something we were talking about. The work that you put out is always there. It starts to have gravity. It starts to mean something. So it's a different type of investment in that sense. The other one we've forgotten, Dave, is that people who with families can watch their children grow. They're at home. So that's the obvious one, and to be available for emergencies. There's not the spouse or the partner, one person looking after small children or middle-aged children. There's a sharing, so it's good for family life.
That's very true also.
And for example, I have a very old mother. Something happened to her, I could just pick up my car keys and go. Don't have to ask permission from the boss. All those things. Obvious things, really, but just looking at why an online business would appeal today. Now, what about the cons?
Yes, there are some, unfortunately.
Yes.
Well, we've jotted down our little lists.
We have,
we're planning this. I've got it's a very steep learning curve. If it's brand new to you, there is a lot to learn.
Definitely.
Not only is it a very different way of life, as we've discussed. There are quite a lot of sometimes quite technical things that you need to either grasp or find someone to work with who can. And again,
there are companies that do that, which we will talk about when we come to address the overwhelm, which we're going to devote a whole episode to, the real question of overwhelm.
Yeah.
When people come and join anything that I've been promoting, I always say the first thing I have to say to you is slow down. It's going to be overwhelming. Yeah. So that needs to be said. It's a steep learning curve. Once it's done, then it's done forever. But there are agencies that will do that for you, and we will name one or two. I use somebody in Nepal, in Kathmandu, who does my fiddles with my WordPress. Lovely guy.
Well, I guess is a crucial part of any business or entrepreneurial enterprise in any case, and it's no different with an online business. If there are knowing your limitations and not trying to do everything yourself is pretty key, I think. And as you say, we'll discuss that in possibly the next episode.
Well, it's a good it's good skills to be able to farm something off that you can't do. That's the first thing a successful person realizes is what he can't do, and then for somebody else can do it. Otherwise you end up digging yourself into the ground. The other one, I think, is you can be very solitary. You sit with your piece of equipment, and you, particularly perhaps in the early days, you're sitting trying to figure out why something's not working, and you get to Friday afternoon and you've achieved absolutely nothing the whole week. And that there isn't this sense of measured incremental improvement, is there? There isn't. You don't do a bit and think, yes, I'm getting there. There can be a lot of back steps, and you think, actually, I don't understand.
Yes.
And then another penny will drop, and oh yes, okay, I got that. And that can take a while. Until you start to think, no, I have got that.
Yeah, and if you're, as you say, if you're on your own going through that process, it can be quite tough. There's no doubt about it. But again, that's why it's quite good to work with other people and bounce off people. And there are certainly a lot of ways that you can look at doing that.
Yes.
Also.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like all self-employment, really, isn't it? There aren't really any guarantees. The buck stops with you, and it can be a lonely old game. But
because it is different. I mean, your existing friendships that you might meet people you meet at the pub or at the end of the week, they will be interested in what you're doing, but you won't be able to communicate because it does become the online world is a strange world. You don't really have friends that you get ticks on Facebook or people like what you do. Another con I would say is the language is different. You have to learn to speak internet speak. You have to learn how to write internet speak.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
never write in capital letters, otherwise you'll get somebody being very rude back.
That's right. Netiquette, effectively shouting at them.
Yeah. And there's ways of saying things. You have to be careful how you phrase things. And
yeah, I can remember this stuck in my mind. My partner and I going to see the bank. I think we were opening a joint bank account or something of that nature. Anyway, we were sitting with the bank person, and they asked us both what we do. And my partner said, "I'm a driving instructor." And that's fine. I've always fancied doing that. Sounds fabulous. So you're your own boss. Yeah, it's my own business, and pretty good. That's something I might do in the future. What about you, sir? I said, well, I'm an internet marketer. Oh, anyway, just no idea what that means. Moving on.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one sometimes to explain what you're doing. But again, when we look at the different business models, some of them are less esoteric, shall we say, sounding than others. Because basically you're just selling things on the internet rather than from a shop.
Yes. In different sectors, and each model has a different way of selling. We both have experience in all of them, so that'll be an interesting conversation that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here and suggest that the pros of starting an online business far outweigh the cons. And I think, do you agree?
I would agree with you there. There's no question about that. Yeah. The purpose of the work that we're doing here on Tuesday at 2 is to slow it down, break it down, make it clear, and to try and guide people properly instead of these buy one, get one free, everything all in. By the way, you need personal development. We haven't talked about that. That's going to be another full episode about what I think about the necessity for personal development for people over 50 in order to start a business.
Well, yeah.
To be taught by 25-year-olds living at home with mummy and daddy, and who haven't earned a buck. Yes. Reach your inner potential and, you can be everything you want to be. Well, my experience is that if you really want something, you'll get down and do it. Yeah. And that,
I think we can be probably most helpful to people who have kind of done that work on themselves already.
Yes. or life has shown you that you have to do it, whatever. Yes, you just get down and do it.
So let's just have the nuts and bolts.
I have a fire button that goes off when I see.
I've seen that.
I've had a number of them, by the way, in the early years, 10 years ago, that you buy something to learn how to do it, and you'd be told that you have to reach your inner potential and
I think
the Tony Robbins model and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I suppose that there's a place for that somewhere, but
for those people who need it.
These events, I've been to these events where you come out and you're all.
You haven't grown up unless you have, Dave.
Exactly. So you come out and you're all kind of buzzed up and raring to go, but you sleep on it and then the next day it's gone. So
because it doesn't sit in.
Some of it maybe does, but But
I personally. Yeah, I personally think that when you listen to if you're going to learn something, it has to be methodical. It has to be, you can be inspired by somebody who introduces something, but then you have to sit down quietly and listen to it and understand it. And for example, when I used to teach in Europe, I used to wait until the class was quiet and I didn't say anything until everybody stopped tittering. And it was actually holding the silence so people were listening. We used to have that at school. Teacher wouldn't start until everybody had settled down. And then, of course, it used to be then draw your margin, which thank God we don't do today. But I have to tell you, I do sometimes draw a margin when I'm in that mood. But it's this attention and talking quietly and explaining every point instead of glossing over it and flying with the fairies and all the absolute crap that comes out today with some of these programs that you buy. I have an allergy against them. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I'm with you there, as you know. I don't think there's really a need for that. What I wanted when I decided to go online was the nuts and bolts. I wanted to get going. I wanted to avoid all the nonsense. Most of us, I think, if we've got some common sense, you can see nonsense for what it is. You realize that there isn't money falling out of the sky by pushing a button. That's fantasy and doesn't happen. There's no get rich quick here. I think most people don't need, certainly people that we can help, don't need to be told that. And I think part of the selling of that is how this personal development kind of woohoo stuff has become kind of embroiled within it, because it helps to make people buy that.
Well, it's this extraordinary thing, this weird equation that they believe that if they drag something out for 3 to 4 hours, they're giving value. They're not. They're stealing from you. They're taking your time. I'm sitting there thinking, God, I hope my mother's all right. I'm listening to this waffle here. Is my mother all right? I've just lost 3 hours of my life listening to somebody else's story about their dog, or there's no milk in the fridge. And I absolutely couldn't care less. And I feel angry because it's not appropriate.
But I have seen some of these guys congratulating themselves on having got to 7 hours on a webinar. Yeah, I won't be with you, I can assure you.
No, and I've got another grey hair. No, thank you very much. Listening to complete waffle.
Yeah.
I mean, we will. Don't talk to me about personal development. It's guaranteed for me to go on a rant. So I've got to behave myself because I'm on camera. But you know as well as I do how I can rant.
I think we've got you.
Yeah, that was actually my glass of water. Anything else, Dave? Anything else we want to say?
I don't think so. I don't want us to be guilty of what we've just
of waffling.
No. So
God.
I think for a first call, I think we've covered what we kind of need.
I think we have.
I hope if you're watching this, you've found this value. If so, please leave us comments. We'll always get back to you.
Helpful.
Subscribe, because we're planning to make this something of real value, with no fluff. So if that sounds good, do hit the subscribe bell underneath there and let us know what you think.
Yes, leave us a comment. And we also have an email address, which is mydigitaldilemmas@gmail.com. That is also below the video here. And we would like to hear from you via email, if that's the way you would prefer to do it, and not put out something.
Yeah, give us your questions and we'll address those.
We'll answer them next week as much as we can. Yes, we'll probably put aside some time to answer questions, and then we will move into the next topic that we want to discuss, which will probably be business models.
Yeah.
Is that what we do?
Yeah, internet business models. I think sounds like a good place to go to next. And we'll go through those. So join us next week, Tuesday at 2, if that sounds...
At 2. Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to wrap it up, and so are you, I think, Dave. Yeah.
Absolutely. So thanks for watching, and
bye for now.
Hope we'll see you again. Bye.